Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio management. This podcast is brought to you by PM Powered, a consulting company that brings you project, program, and portfolio management. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 different articles, so it's going to be a short podcast today. The weather here is dreary. It snowed 3 inches last night. I'm stuck at home because we also have freezing rain. So let's make this a good podcast so I can feel a little better today based on the weather. Maybe I'll go out and make me some snow cream or throw some snowballs at my husband to make it even a more cheery day. So let's get started. You may remember, if you've been watching my podcast a while back, I spoke to Natalie Gregg, and she and I talked about branding yourself. And this goes out to all project managers, but especially women who don't usually brand themselves because they don't like speaking about themselves. But this article by Kellogg Insight is called How to Feel Authentic While Building Your Personal Brand. Many people feel uncomfortable talking about themselves, whether you're a woman or a man, but you've got to get over that. You've got to be able to sell yourself, and you've got to be authentic about it. If you're not authentic about it, it will come over as not being truthful or sincere. So what are some of the things that they talk about that you should do? So, and excuse me, of course, my mouse isn't working this morning. So what should we do about doing that? And it says, people worry that selling themselves may give a false impression, says Suzanne Muchin, an adjunct lecturer at the Kellogg School's Architecture of Collaboration Initiative and co-host of the podcast, The Big Payoff. But nothing could be further from the truth. So I agree with her. You've got to brand yourself. If you don't, how do people know what you're all about? So whether you're an entrepreneur, a job candidate, or an advocate for a new idea, good storytelling is one of the skills you need to stand out. So you need to tell a good story about yourself, and sometimes that can make you feel more authentic. So one of the things that they mention in this article, and there's several things on how to make yourself a good storyteller about branding yourself, is turn your attributes into stories. They don't need to be long stories. They need to be short stories. So a common error most of us make when trying to sell ourselves is relying on a list of attributes to characterize our strengths. You know the ones: adaptable, creative, organized, a good communicator, a real self-starter. If you made a word cloud of the language people use to describe themselves, Munchen said, you would see how often we use the same boring nouns and adjectives. And you can't. You've got to be authentic about yourself. You've got to be able to describe yourself in your own words. So that's why stories are so effective and so important. Again, it doesn't have to be a long story, and you may want to clip several stories together to describe who you really are. It's another thing to describe the various life experiences that shaped your adaptability. So, but a strong personal brand is not just about demonstrating your professional strengths. Munchen suggests asking yourself, what's my unique value proposition to the person sitting across from me? What's the promise I make to them when I walk in the room? The most incisive question you can ask yourself is, what do I want to be memorable for? If you ask that question, which is ultimately a version of what makes me special, your stories will begin to surface. So go for it. Try it. You'll be amazed at what you can do if you start telling a story about yourself. And then it says, she goes on to say, to be willing to be uncomfortable. If you're willing to be uncomfortable, then you're even going to be better. Why are you going to be better? Well, it's because you're being truthful about yourself. And like I said, we become uncomfortable about that. So sometimes what makes us the choice for a specific opportunity is something very personal. Our past experiences, for instance, or a deeply held belief. Yet many of us have an aversion to digging deep, which explains why so many fail to be authentic when selling themselves. So be willing to be uncomfortable. Dig down deep. What is it at your root core being that makes you your personal brand? So dig deep and tell those people about it. Have a roadmap and be disciplined. Once you've refined the stories that bolster your personal brand, the next challenge is learning how to weave them into a conversation at job interviews, networking events, or any other situation where the goal is to sell yourself. Every answer you give is an opportunity to tell one of your stories. Whenever you enter a room, ask yourself, what conversation do I want to have? You need to have a roadmap for how to arrive at your story. So know what your roadmap is. Know how you're going to weave your yarn, so to speak. Know how you're going to weave your personal brand to the person that's standing in front of you. And it's going to be different every time. So that's what makes it authentic and a little bit uncomfortable. So you need to do that about yourself. Learn to enjoy sharing. Learn to enjoy talking about yourself. You are you. And if you can sell yourself and be authentic about it, you'll be surprised at how much you'll be able to articulate about yourself. That is the very most important thing. So yes, developing a personal brand and the stories that make it successful can take some work, but the payoffs are not limited to your career. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. So let's jump into the other one. And the other ones are a little bit more about my what I've been talking about lately. And talking about things that are going to be happening 10, 15 years from now. So the next one I want to bring to you it comes from The Verge, and it's called BMW and Daimler will spend over $1 billion, that's with a B, dollars on the future of transportation. So it's interesting that BMW and Daimler, two different automakers, are coming together to put together different companies to create a future of transportation. So it'll be amazing to see what they do. Of course, they have to get through over the loopholes of regulations and all of that. But the companies first announced their intention to join forces in March of 2018, but the plan required regulatory approval. So other global companies have paired up, and those include Ford and Volkswagen, which announced recently their intention to build trucks and vans together. So it's not uncommon to hear about companies coming together, but it is uncommon to hear about these two companies coming together, which I thought was interesting because there'll be a lot more project managers that are needed for these, because when you bring two companies together to look at the future of transportation, they're doing projects. So BMW had Reach Now and Drive Now, car sharing service in the US and Europe, and Daimler owned Car2Go. So that's one of the things that they're going to be getting together to do. So I think that's the things that they're going to be doing. And so they might be also creating different types of cars. They're talking a robot taxi service. Can you imagine? So they're going to be giving some competition to what Uber's doing with this self-driving cars. So it'll be amazing to see what they bring to us in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Again, it may be a total crash and burn failure, but look at this from the opportunity of you as a project manager. If you go in there with open, creative, and strategic ideas, you can be one of the star players. You can be one of the project managers that brings things to life at this new companies. So do it. Take a chance. Sell yourself. Do your personal brand. Tell a story, and you'll be able to bring yourself into this marketplace. So what's the next one I want to bring to you, and the final one that we're going to talk about? It's called The World's Most Valuable AI Companies and What They're Working on. So some statistics that I wanted to bring to you today. It says artificial intelligence and subsets of disciplines such as machine learning, natural language processing, and computer vision are seemingly becoming integrated into our daily lives. Think of your smartphones. You can now do it with your retina scan or with your facial features. And we all have unique facial features. So those are things that artificial intelligence are bringing. So similarly, the startups working on many of these AI technologies have seen their proverbial stock rise. More than 30 of these companies are now valued at over $1 billion. That's with a B, $1 billion, according to data research firm CB Insights, which itself employs algorithms to provide insights into the tech business world. So there were 32 AI unicorns. Those are AI companies that are valued at over $1 billion. Can you believe that today there are over 32? In 2015, there were there were four. In 2016, that went down to two. 2017, it went up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's amazing that none of them were the same that they were in 2016. So it's amazing to see they come and go. And we have to be able to look at these companies. And you as project managers are driving these companies. So while one may fail that you're in, you can jump into another one quickly, especially if you have that AI background. So what are these companies working on? It's amazing to see how they're going and doing. So AI keeps an eye out for you. So facial recognition is probably one of the most ubiquitous applications of AI. Like I've said, it's a decades-old technology, so it's been around for a while. And it's no secret that facial recognition algorithms developed by several of the AI unicorns from China, SenseTime, CloudWalk, and Face++, also known as Meg7, are used to monitor the country's 1.3 billion citizens. And police there are even equipped with AI-powered eyeglasses for such purposes. Can you imagine AI-powered glasses here in the United States? It would be interesting to walk around and seeing all these people. I can't imagine that it would be allowed in everyday society. The AI doctor is in. I've talked to you a lot about AI in healthcare. So as Peter Diamandis recently noted, AI is rapidly augmenting healthcare and longevity. He mentioned another AI unicorn from China in its regard, iCarbonex, which plans to use machines to develop personalized health plans for every individual. If you go back to one of my podcasts, I actually talked about this company a little bit and what they're doing for healthcare. And it seems that a lot of our AI is coming from companies in China. Hey, United States, we need to catch up, so let's get going with our AI companies. A couple of AI unicorns on the hardware side of healthcare are Orcam Technologies and Butterfly. The former, an Israeli company, has developed a wearable device for the vision impaired called MyEye that attaches to one's eyeglasses. The device can identify people and product as well as read text, conveying the information through discrete audio. That would be amazing. I know a lot of people that would be able to use that. If my eyesight keeps going, I might be using it because I have a hard time seeing my screen as it is. Another one is AI in the driver's seat. We've heard about self-driving cars, and now we heard from Daimler and BMW that they might be doing robots to go cars. So Comet Labs' portfolio includes two AI unicorns called Meg7 and Pony.ai. The latter is one of the $3 billion startups developing the AI technology behind self-driving cars. So remember, self-driving cars are not a thing of the future. They're here and they're now. Granted, they're having some problems, especially how we put in all the ethical dilemmas that they might face. But two of the other self-driving car AI companies are Momenta.ai and Zoox. Founded in 2016 near San Francisco with another headquarters in China, Pony.ai debuted its latest self-driving system called Pony Alpha last year. The platform uses multiple sensors, LiDAR, cameras, and radar to navigate its environment, which I think is interesting, but that's not really anything new. They may just do it bigger and better. Zoox is another San Francisco area startup founded a couple of years earlier in late 2018. It got the green light from the state of California to be the first autonomous vehicle company to transport a passenger as part of a pilot program. That is amazing to me that they're actually doing that in San Francisco. It says, meanwhile, China-based Momenta.ai is testing level 4 autonomy for its self-driving systems. Autonomous driving levels are ranked 0 to 5, with level 5 being equal to a human behind the wheel. So they're getting there. But again, each of us has different dilemmas that we seek. If we're going to hit a dog or a cat, which one do we hit? Again, that depends on the person. If we have no choice but to hit one of them, which one do we hit? If you're between hitting a child or a grown-up, which would you want to hit? Obviously, I would try to avoid both, but if you can't, which one would you hit? In Eastern countries, believe it or not, they would hit the child. In Western countries, we would hit the adult. So how do you build this into self-driving vehicles? Maybe it's done by country. Maybe it's done by ethical norms in a region. But it'll be interesting to see. Maybe you dial a button for Western countries or the United States. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes on. AI in the back office, an AI-powered technology that perhaps only fans of the cult classic Office Space might appreciate, has suddenly taken the business world by storm. Robotic process automation. So what is this? RPA companies take the mundane back office work, excuse me, such as filing out invoices or processing insurance claims and turns it over to bots. Can you imagine bots actually doing something other than doing robocalls? That would be interesting and challenging. So the intelligent part comes into play because these bots can tackle unstructured data such as text in an email or even video and pictures. So that's amazing to me. Both Automation Anywhere and UiPath are older companies that founded in 2003 that are doing this kind of mundane thing. Then we also see AI in cybersecurity, but I think we know that AI is helping with cybersecurity. There's 3 companies that are really taking the forefront on these, CrowdStrike, Darktrace, and Tanium. So if you're a project manager that loves to do cybersecurity, check out these companies. See if you can be a project manager or program manager looking for at these companies. Looking forward, what are we going to see in AI? The writer of this article says he could go on forever and introduce you to the world's most valuable startup, a Chinese company called ByteDance that is valued at $75 billion for news curation and an app to create 15-second viral videos. I don't know if I want to see that, but it must be a lucrative market. Again, if you're a project manager, especially in the China area, look at all of these startups that you have in AI. Get yourself into the AI knowledge. Understand what's going on in the AI. Take some classes in it and be a productive, creative, and strategic-looking project manager for these companies. It's coming. It's going to be a part of our lives. And AI is actually going to come into every project, I suspect, out there. So be forward-thinking, be strategic, and understand where AI is taking us. I'm Wanda Curley, your authority on project, program, and portfolio management. This has been brought to you by PM Powered, your company on project, program, and portfolio management needs. Please go to PM Current and follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'd love to have you following me and seeing my previous podcasts. I'm Wanda Curley, and I'd love to hear from you. If you don't agree on anything I've said, or you have a great project that you would like to bring to my followers, please contact me at wanda@pmpowered.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you disagree with anything that I have to say, again, contact me. Have a great and blessed week. I'm Wanda Curley, and I'll see you next Monday.